This is Mohammad Tariq Khan, TGT English, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, Mainpuri, Uttar Pradesh. Today I am going to present a very inspirational chapter, that is quality. And the chapter is based on the changing of time, with the passage of time, how the circumstances change a man from rich to poor and rich to poor and poor to rich. And this chapter will display a great insight of the society. Dear student, you should read this story to get more and more inspirational values and the thing and the insight that you will gain from the chapters. Okay, let's start with this chapter, quality.
Before you start this chapter or before you read, you must know something about this chapter. Can a shoemaker be called an artist? It is a question by the author to all of you, my dear students. He asks a question: can a cobbler be called an artist? You must ponder about it. And I think, yes, why not? He replies here, yes, if he has the same skill, if he has the talent and pride in his trade, and if he is proud of his trade, proud of his business, as any other artist. Most of the artists are proud of their business, most of the artists are skilled and talented, so they are called artists, and the same respect for it too. And the artist must have respect for his skill or talent. Mr. Gessler, a German shoemaker settled in London. It is the story of Mr. Gessler, who was a cobbler, who was a shoemaker. He was a German shoemaker. He came from Germany and settled in London. Is a perfect artist. He was a perfect artist because he was master of his trade, and he used to make such boots which were excellent in quality. Read this story to see how he devotes his life to his trade, and you must read this story to know how he has devoted his life to his art. So he is called an artist. The name of the chapter is Quality, and it is written by John Galsworthy. Let's start on it. Quality by John Galsworthy. It is one of the finest stories which he had written about the changing of life. I knew him from the days of my extreme youth, when the author was growing young, when he was extremely young. At that time he knew him because he made my father's boot. He used to make the boots of his father. So the author knew him, and he lived with his elder brother in his shop, and they were two brothers, so they were called Gessler brothers, and they lived in a shop which was in a small by street. It was a small shop in a by street in a fashionable part of London, and it was very decorated part of London. And the shop had a certain quite distinction, and there was a quality of the shop, there was a speciality of the shop. What was the speciality? There was no sign upon it other than the name of Gessler brothers, and there was no signboard, but there was a signboard, only the name of Gessler brothers was written, and it was not written that it is a shoe shop and it is the shop of anything. Only name was written there, and in the window a few pair of boots, and there were few pair of boots in the window, and one could understand that it was a shoe shop because their name was enough in the field of shoemaking. They were the excellent shoemaker. He made only what was ordered. He used to make such a boots which were ordered to him, and he did not had any boots which were ready made for the person. If some person came and they were offered to him, and there was no chance of such kind of thing in his shop, and if a person wanted shoes, that they must be ordered earlier. Okay, and what he made never failed to fit, and they were the shoes of excellent quality and excellent art and craft. They never failed to fit and to make boots. Such boots as he made seemed to me then, and he made such boots and seemed to me then and still seem to me mysterious and wonderful. Really, now he has grown up. Now the author has grown up. He feels that they were the shoes full of secret, that they were the shoes full of surprise because they never failed to fit and they lasted long. Okay. I remember well my shy remarks one day while stretching out to him my youthful foot at that time when he was growing young, and he had shy remarks. He was very shy at that time. And one day when he was stretching his foot to the to Mr. Gessler, at that time, isn't it awfully hard to do, Mr. Gessler? He asked, is it not difficult to make such a boots for a growing foot? And Mr. Gessler replied, and his answer, given with a sudden smile, at that time he smiled and said, from out of the redness of his beard, and his beard was red, and he spoke, it is an art. He said, it's an art. It was not possible to go to him very often. The author says that he did not go to him occasionally, and his boots lasted terribly because his boots lasted long and they continued for a long time. It was very difficult to break all the shoes, and so it was not possible to go to him very often. Why it was not possible to go to him? Because his shoes lasted long and his shoes were of excellent quality that did not break for a long time, having something beyond the temporary, some essence of boot stitched into them. It seemed that they were not temporary boots, they were beyond temporary, they were permanent boots, and some essence of boots and the sole of boot was stitched into them. So they lasted long. One went in as not into most of the shop, as you have seen in most of the shop when someone goes there to take something at that, but it was something different. And but restfully as one enters in a church, and if you enter in the shop of Mr. Gessler, at that time you must have the respect of a church, and respect of a church, sitting on a single wooden chair. There was a single wooden chair. If someone went into the shop at that time, he sat there and waited, and he had to wait for a long time. A guttural sound and tip top of his slipper beating, and there was a harsh sound when he came from the balcony beating the narrow wooden stair, and he came down from the narrow wooden stair. So there was sound beating the narrow wooden stairs, and he would stand before one without a coat, and when he came to the person who wanted to buy something or who wanted to give him order, he stood before him little bent, and he was somewhat bowed, little bent, and in leather apron with sleeves turned back, and there was a piece of leather apron he was wearing, and sleeves turned back, and his sleeves were turned back, blinking, and his eyes were blinking as if awakened from the some dreams of boots. And seeing him, it seemed that he has came from the dream of boots. Okay. And he would say, how do you do, Mr. Gessler? And he asked, how are you, Mr. Gessler? Can you make me a pair of Russian leather boots? And he asked to make boots for him of the Russian leather. Without a word, he would leave me retiring whence he came, and he did not speak anything. And he went to the balcony again, and he came back into the other portion of the shop. The person who wanted to buy the shoes, he had to wait there on the wooden chair, and would sit continue to rest on the wooden chair, inhaling the essence of his trade. And he used to inhale, he used to take breathe inside of the scent of his trade, that was the scent of the leather. Soon he would come back, and he would came back holding in his hand a piece of gold brown leather, and after some time he used to come with a piece of leather, and that was of golden brown color with eyes fixed on it. And his eyes were fixed on it, and he would remark, "What a beautiful piece!" He used to praise his own leather and said that it was a very beautiful piece. And when he too had admired it, and when he admired, he praised for the leather. At that time, when do you want them? He used to ask the question when the author wanted them, or when a person who wanted to buy the leather or who wanted to order for the shoes, and he asked the time, and I would answer, and the author answered him, "Oh, as soon as you conveniently can." And as soon as possible he can make the shoes for him. And he would say, "Tomorrow fortnight." And he said, "Tomorrow for the next 15 days. After 15 days it will be prepared and will be handed over to the author." And as if he were his elder brother, if he were his elder brother, he used to say that, "I'll ask my brother." He would ask his brother when the shoes will be prepared or will be given. Then I would murmur. The author used to whisper or say softly, "Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Gessler. Good morning." And there was a reply of good morning when they left each other. And he would reply, still looking at the leather in his hand. And when he replied good morning, the Mr. Gessler was looking at the leather as I moved to the door. And when he went to the door, he would hear the tip tap of the sleeper going up the stair. And when the author turned to go into the street, and he heard the sound of tip tap, because he went to the same balcony where he came from, where he was making his shoes to his dream of boots. The author says that he cannot forget the day on which I had occasion to say to him, and once he chanced to say to him that there was some problem in his shoes. "Mr. Gessler, the last pair of boots creaked, you know." He said that the last pair he made, that it was creating problem, and it had creaked, you know. He looked at me for a time without replying, as if expecting to me withdraw or qualify the statement. And he expected to leave the statement because he thought that he could not make such a wood that would have creaked. Okay, that would have creaked. So he wanted that the statement of the author should be left. The statement of the author should be taken back, or should qualify for that. Then said, "It should not have creaked. It should not have creaked." It said, "I am afraid." But the author said, "I am afraid that it was creaking." "Oh, you got them wet before you found themselves." He said that he had kept the shoes into the water or made them wet when he wore them. I don't think so. I don't think so. But the author replied that he did not do it. He did not keep the shoes in the water, and at that he lowered his eyes. And hearing this, he lowered his eyes as if he was feeling regretted, as if hunting for the memory of those boots. And he was thinking of those boots, why they were giving problem. And I felt sorry I had mentioned this grave thing. So then he was feeling sorry. The author was also feeling sorry because he said such a things to Mr. Gessler. "Send them back," he said. "I look at them." And he asked to send the shoes back to him, and he will look after where was the problem. If he was unable to mend the shoes, then he will return the money. "Some boots," he continued slowly. He said slowly, "some boots are bad from the birth. And it was the birth of the shoes which were giving the problem. It happened with some boots. It happened with some shoes. If I can do nothing with them, then take them off from your bill." If he was unable to mend the shoes, at that time he'll cut off the bill. Once only I went absent mindedly into his shop in a pair of boots. Once he went mindedly, then he was absent minded and he forgot. He went into the pair of his shoes and emergency at the large firm. He went there wearing a shoes which he bought from a large firm. He took my order without showing me leather. At that time, he did not show him leather because he got angry, somewhat angry from inside hurt. And he did not show him leather. I could feel his eyes penetrating the inferior covering of the boots. At that time, his eyes were looking at the boot of the part of the boot which was giving problem to the author. And at last he said, "Does are not my boots?" He said that they were not his boots. And the tone was not any of the anger. He was not angry at that time and not sorry and even of contempt, and he was not feeling insulted, but there was in it something quiet. But his voice was quiet and very soft and froze the blood because he was facing the difficult days of his business. He put his hand down and pressed the finger on the place where the boot was not quite comfortable. He pressed the part of the leather where the shoes were giving problem, and the author was not feeling comfortable, and they were the shoes bought from another shop. "It hurts you there," he said, that the shoes were hurting him there. "Does big firms have no self respect?" He said that the big firms had no self respect. They gave only quantity, they do not pay attention towards the quality. And then, as if something had happened within them, he spoke long bitterly. At that time, he was spoke bitterly about the big firms. They were not paying their attention to the quality, and it was the only time I have ever heard him discuss the condition and hardship of his trade. And he was discussing about the problem of his trade because it was the time when the people used to go into the big shop and into the big firms to take ready-made shoes because they had no time, and now the time was going to be changed for him. And in the time of fashion, they do not care about the quality, so everyone wore them and everyone liked them because they wanted ready made and they had no time to buy the shoes prepared by Mr. Gessler. He also said, "They get it all." He said, "They get it all by advertisement." He said that they were taking, the big firms were taking his business, and he was facing the difficulties of his business, and they were selling their boots by advertisement and not by work. And they were sold by not by work, they were sold by advertisement only. They take it away from us and who love our boots, he said very sadly, and who loved his boots, and no one liked his boots. And it gone to this presently, I have no work. He said that it has gone, and at that time he was having no work. Every year it gets less, and you will see, and you see, you know that work was getting less and less every time. And looking at the lined face, I saw the things I had never noticed before. And he saw the lining on his face, on the face of Mr. Gessler, because Mr. Gessler made quality boots, and but there was no requirement of such boots in the time of fashion and at the time of lack of time. Bitter things and bitter struggle, and there were the things were very bitter, very difficult, and it was a bitter struggle. What a lot of gray hair there seemed suddenly in his red beard, but in his red beard there were gray hairs, though he was not so old that there must be so many white or gray hair in his beard. But they were there because he was facing problem. At best I could, he explained the circumstances of those ill-omened boots. I also explained about the bad boots which he bought from the other firms, but his face and voice made so deep impression. But there was a bad impression on his face. I ordered many pairs. At that time, he ordered so many pairs, and they lasted longer than ever. And he made the boots, they were of the best quality, and they lasted for a long time. It continued for a long time, and I was not able to go to him for nearly 2 years, and he did not get a time to go there for 2 years because the boots were of the excellent quality that lasted for 2 years. क्या? Never before, never before had I heard him mention his brother. Much shocked, I murmured, "Oh, I am sorry." I was very shocked, and I said, "Sorry." Yes, he answered, "He was a good man. He made good boot, and he was a very good man, and he used to make good boots. But he is dead." But he was very sorry and touched the tip of his head. And at that time, Mr. Gessler touched the tip of his head, where the head had suddenly gone as thin as it had been that of the poor brother, and there was few hair on his head, as his brother had, who had died, and he was going to be bald. He was getting bald at that time. So yes, he answered, he was a good man here, and he was getting bald. And to indicate, I suppose, the cause of his death. "Do you want any other boots?" he asked. "Do you want boots, sir?" And then the author ordered again, and he held up the leather in his hand. In his hand there was a piece of leather. "It is a beautiful piece," he said. "It's a very beautiful piece, and you can make the leather of such boots." I ordered several pairs. Then he ordered many pair of boots. It was very long before they came. It took a long time when they came. At that time, but they were better than ever. The shoes were of the better quality. One simply could not wear them out, and they were of the so excellent quality that a person cannot wear them casually. If a person want to wear such kind of shoes, then he must attend a party. It means they were party wear shoes. And and soon after that, I went abroad. He went to a foreign country. The author went, and it was over a year before it was again in London. And when he came back in London, it was a long time, and it passed a year. And the first shop, I went to my old friends, and when he went to the shop of his old friend, it was the first shop for him. When he came to London back, I had left a man of 60. I came back one of the 75. When he went to the shop, he saw a man of 75. Last year, Mr. Gessler looked a man of 60, but now he seemed a man of 75, pinched and worn. His face was wrinkled, and he was warned, and who genuinely this time did not at first recognize me, and he could not recognize the author at first glance, at first time. "Do you want any boots?" he said. "I can make them quickly. It's a slack time," he said. If the author wanted shoes, and if the author wanted shoes, that he would make shoes at once. He would make quickly. It was slack time. It was the time when he was facing the problem, and his business was not going well. I answered, "Please, please, I want boots of all around every kind." And the author said that he wanted the shoes of every kind. I answered, and I had given those boots up when one evening they came. And at that time, when they came, the author used them one by one. I tried them on. He tried all the shoes in shape and fit. In finish and quality of the leather, they were the best he had ever made. They were the best shoes he had ever made, and the quality of the shoes was very good. Finishing was very good, and in the case of fitness, they were excellent. I flew downstairs. Then he came downstairs and wrote a check and posted at once to my own hand. With his own hand, he posted the check to the author. He posted the check to Mr. Gessler. Later, passing the little street, after a week, when the author was passing through the street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boot fitted, and an idea came to him that he would go to the shop and tell Mr. Gessler about the quality of the boots. And at that time, when he came to where his shops had been, he came to a place where was his shop. And but when he came to where was his shop, his name was gone, and there was a signboard where only his name was written. That was removed. There was another signboard. What was written on that? I went in very much disturbed. The author was very much disturbed, and he went in. In the shop, there was a young man with English face. There was a young man. He was an Englishman. Mr. Gessler in. I asked him if there was Mr. Gessler. No, sir, he said. He replied in negative and said that there was not Mr. Gessler. And no, but we can attend to anything with pleasure, and they would be happy to attend to the author if he wanted any shoes. We have taken the shop over, and they have taken the shop. Oh yes, yes, I said, but Mr. Gessler, where is Mr. Gessler? Oh, he answered, dead. He had died. Dead? But I only received these boots from it last Wednesday week. Last week? And when it was Wednesday, then he received the boots. How can it be possible? The author said. The author was much disturbed at that time. Then he said, poor old man starved himself. He said, the poor man, Mr. Gessler, was hungry and he died of hunger. Slow starvation. It was slow starvation. He died slowly because of hunger, because of being hungry. The doctor called it. The doctor said he died of starvation. Starvation means hungry. Die of hunger. You see, he went to work in such a way and would keep the shop on. He always kept his shop on, opened, wouldn't have a soul touch his boots except himself, and he touched his soul to the boots and accept himself. When he got an order, he took such a time. When he got an order, he used to give a long time to prepare the boots. People won't wait, and it is the time when the people are having no time, they could not wait. He lost everybody, and he lost everybody, and there he would sit, going on and on. He used to sit there and used to do his work for a long time. I will say that for him, not a man in London made a better boots, and a person in London cannot make boots better than him because he was an artist. But look at the competition, he never advertised. He never advertised. He never made an advertisement because he did not believe in such kind of empty show, and he believed in his work and would have the best leather too, and he used the best leather and do it all himself. He used to do work himself. Well, it is could you expect with that idea? But starvation, could you expect such kind of idea? Nowadays a man is doing and going on his work again and again and giving not him time to eat. So such did not happen nowadays. But starvation, that may be a bit of flurry. He said that it was a flurry as saying it, but I know myself he was going over the boots day and night. But the author knew that he did this for day and night to the very last. You see, when he was at the verge of his death, at that time he was doing his work. I used to. In the last paragraph, the author tells why he died, what was the reason behind his death, and watch him, never gave himself time to eat. It was Mr. Gessler, he never gave time to eat, never had a penny in the house. And he had no money in his house. All went in rent, and he used to pay the rent of his shop and leather. And how he lived so long, I don't know. He said that he did not know how he lived so long. He regularly let his fires go on, but it was his zeal that he used to do the work only. And he was a character, he was a man of character. He made good boots. And yes, I said he made good boots. On the on the reply or to the reply to the American, I said yes, he made good boots. It was a chapter by John Galsworthy. And in this chapter he shows a comparison of the present and past. What happened in the past, what happened in the present, what are the people doing nowadays. Now I want to discuss in detail about the chapter. Dear students, there are some questions for you. Answer the following question. What was the author's opinion about Mr. Gessler as a bootmaker? Okay, in the beginning of the chapter, you can read first two paragraphs and you are going to tell the answer. Okay, revise the chapter again. And what was his opinion? He was an artist because he made quality boot. And why did the author visit his shop so infrequently? He did not go there regularly. What was the reason? Okay, you're right. He made quality boots that lasted for a long time. What was the effect on Mr. Gessler of the author's remarks about the certain pair of the boots? When he made the remarks about his bad quality of the boots, then he said that some boots were bad from the birth and he would have made them wet and he had kept them in the water, so they were so bad. And it was the reply of Mr. Gessler, and he felt very regretted over this remark. What was Mr. Gessler complaint about the big firms? Mr. Gessler said that they sold their boots by advertisement, not by work. Why did the author ordered so many pairs of boots? Did he really need them? Okay, he ordered so many pairs of boots because he had sympathy for Mr. Gessler, though he did not need so many pairs. And another reason was that they were the shoes of the best quality and he wanted so many pairs. Dear students, and working with language, there are some words that you are going to study. Look after. The meaning of look after is take care of. I am looking after my brother. It means I am taking care of my brother. Look down on, disapprove, regret as inferior. It is the meaning of look down on. It is a phrase that some prepositions are added after a word and the meaning changed. And disapproved, he looked down on his proposal. Look in, the meaning of look in, make a short visits. I looked in his house. And look into, investigate, the police was looking into the matter. Look out, he was having look out for his brother. Look up means improve the quality. He was looking up for the quality. Look up to means admire, praise. Okay, he was looking up to the beauty of nature. Okay, students. And at last, there are so many activities for you that you can make on this chapter. You can do an activity present and past.
At the end of this chapter, I would suggest you to read more and more books related to the chapter. And there is a story of Jumman, okay, who was a tailor. It was written by Munshi Premchand. There is another story, a kite maker. That is the story of Mahmud, who was a kite maker. And it was written by Ruskin Bond. You must relate these stories to the story of quality, the story of Mr. Gessler, who was a cobbler. Okay, dear students, I hope that you will do so many activities on the basis of these chapters, and on the basis of this chapter you will have to draw the classification of comparison between present and past. How the present and past changes a man's life. Okay, you'll have to change, you'll have to tell me in your project, this is your project for me, for you, you'll have to draw a comparison between present and past. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video, and see you again with next video with next